Yo, what's going on, guys? You got Johnny here, back today with my CPC Season 5. This time, we're in playoffs. We made it when we're taking on a pretty new guy, or at least in a way to the majors. He was promoted from D-League during the season and had just a phenomenal run after that. I think he went 8-2. So yeah, he had a really good run, and that is Styx from the Token Minorities, channel partner, of Jolt, who is probably the more or the better known one when it comes to draft leagues. Styx is usually more the TCG guy, but he did a phenomenal job this season in the CPC, and he is our opponent for these quarterfinals of this season. So yeah, I'm really hyped to go into playoffs. I missed the playoffs last season, but we were able to really fight back this season, actually clinch, which I did not expect at some points during this season. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. But yeah, let me hop into the team matchup here. His Duke Blue Dwebbles consist of Landorus T, Mega Kangaskhan, Cresselia, Scizor, Crobat, Whimsicott, Houndoom, Tentacruel, and Dredagon. A couple of things to note right off the bat. He has his main offensive breakers are Landorus T and Mega Kangaskhan. Maybe the Scizor. Apart from that, his defense, like Cresselia, Whimsicott, Cruel, all are rather passive. So that is something I noticed immediately, and will try to kind of exploit, because when his breakers are well checked with the team, he really struggles to break fat or a more bulkier build if at that. So yeah, something to keep in mind. He also has some stall breaking prowess though in Taunt, Crobat, Encore, Whimsicott, or Taunt, I think it gets Taunt, Houndoom, and a bulky Suicune or a setup Suicune usually is quite tough for fatter teams to deal with, but with a fast hazing or acid spraying Tentacruel, he also has a very good check to that. Now, that kept in mind, I do think that my team has quite a good matchup here, and that's basically for the reason that I do check both the Landorus T and the Mega Kangaskhan quite well, honestly. While it might not look so on paper, I think I definitely do, because Landorus T, in one issue it has here in this matchup specifically, is that my main answer, or a really good answer to it, my Mew, has the potential to just outspeed it. That is super big, because usually Landro thrives in its breaking role versus walls that are slower than it. For example, even the Suicune. If I bring a physically defensive Suicune, it could just SD up and Z-move me, and Suicune would take 1,000,000 from that. So yeah, that's really tough, but I can always switch in my Mew, take any one hit. He can't just SD up, because I can potentially just click Ice Beam, knock him out right there. So that's really good for me. So that Mew, so yeah, that's also why I brought this Mew set, which is Will-O-Wisp, Psyshock, U-Turn, and Roost. The speed investment, as you can see, is max speed. Max speed just ensures for me that, or doesn't ensure, it ensures the outspeed on Lando, but it also gives me a good chance against the Mega Kangaskhan, because if he does not run max speed on Mega Kangaskhan, which in my opinion is a very possible scenario, because he might just expect a more defensive Mew, this Mew also becomes a phenomenal check to the Kangaskhan, because if I get the Will-O-Wisp off before he can crunch me, I can basically wall him out all day. The U-Turn, on the other hand, is Psyshock is pretty self-explanatory. He doesn't have a dark type apart from Houndoom, and I can outspeed Houndoom, just U-turn on that. So yeah, so that Patchaberry actually is for the Tentacruel, because as I pointed out, Tentacruel is a rather big issue for mons like my Suicune, and also for my SD Scizor, which you can see down there already. And it also kind of annoys Bullaby with at that, and cannot speed T-Tar, hit it hard with the Scald, and I don't want that. So I needed a safety measure for Tentacruel, and the combination of Patchaberry and Psyshock actually allows that. Psyshock makes, with my 56 special attack in EVs, lets me always 2KO with Tentacruel, as well as the Patchaberry, quite funnily, and also a good check, because the best thing Tentacruel can do versus me is knock off or Toxic. And that's basically neutral with the Patchaberry, and I can even switch in on Scald, because in this scenario I really prefer the burn over the potential Toxic. So yeah, quite happy with this bring overall. U-Turn, that's something else I wanted to point out. His team does not have the best rock resists. Actually, it does not have a rock resist at all. His way of checking offensive rock types is Landorus T, and I quite frankly think he has to bring that offensive in this matchup if he wants to have any chance of breaking through my core. So that's not going to appreciate Bandit Stone Edges from my Choice Bandit Teacher, which you can see down here. T-Tar is just phenomenal. Every time it comes in, it basically gets a kill, or at least takes over half of a Pokemon on switch in. It's perfect, and it comes in on quite a lot actually. It comes in on the Crest, can come in on the Crobat, can come in on the Whimsicott, funnily enough, can come in on the Houndoom, and this is one of the main reasons why I don't expect Houndoom to come at all. I think it has a terrible matchup in between T-Tar, Volibee, Mew outspeeding it. Mew would frankly be the only reason for him to actually consider bringing Houndoom, and he can just use, for example, Bandit or Scarf Scissor to check my Mew. So yeah, I don't expect Houndoom to come. Yeah, Tentacruel also takes a million from it, and Druddigon with Fizzdev Rocky Helmet is probably his best check to that, apart from Landorus. However, even that is 2-hit KO'd by Bandit Stone Edge. Yeah. Choice Band T-Tar is just good. Whenever I can bring it in during the match, I think this, if I play it right, this should definitely get 1 to 2 kills. And as you can see, I run U-turn on 1, 2, 3. On 3 of my Pokemon, so yeah, I definitely have chances of bringing in this Bandit T-Tar and just going ham on his team. That being said, I'm running out my coverage with Ice Punch because, again, Landorus T, while it does not have the best matchup versus my team, it is a threat. It's Landorus T, and I do think that's the best one in Draft League format right now. Okay, sorry, I had to cut the video there real quick. What I was about to say was that Landorus T, despite it not having the best matchup versus my team, it just goes in, or it just is the best one in Draft League format, as I think. So I do need Ice Punch just to predict it and probably get the safe Oko if he's the offensive variant I definitely do expect on his team. And last but not least, I have Crunch, rounding out my coverage, because what Crunch does for me, it just Okos Cresselia, or at least comes very close to Oking, if not Oking, which is perfect for me because this also gives me a necessary check to Calm Mind Crest, because Moonblast even at +1 or 2 won't knock out my Tyranitar from full. So T-Tar, really big win con this game. I don't expect it to be the one cleaning up the team, but I do expect it to be the one that really does the main breaking here and tears apart Styx's team. Yeah, moving on, we have my Mega Scizor. Mega Scizor here is bulky offensive spread again with SD, Bullet Punch, and U-turn. It's also a check to the Calm Mind Crest I pointed out. It also really does well. If he brings a more defensive Landorus, I can set up on that, kill it. If he brings brings any sort of offensive Scizor that does not have Technician at HP Fire or Natural Gift Fire, I have a really, really good chance of beating that too, or I pretty much set up on that and beat that, smack that down. I can beat the Crobat if he does not have Heat Wave. I do expect him to have Heat Wave, but yeah, that's just something to consider. I do beat the Whimsicott. I can SD up on that or just Bullet Punch it on the Encore. It becomes a bit of a 50-50 there. And it's, apart from that, just a generally good pivot into, while not being able to 1v1 a lot of his mons, it's able to pivot into a whole lot of his mons, takes them hits, and then enabled me to pivot around, going to my other defensive Pokemon. For example, I can bring this in on the Mega Kangaskhan on the Double Edge, then pivot out to Suicune or T-Tar on the incoming Flamethrower, or even Volibee, because I take the following hit with all of these Pokemon. So yeah, that's pretty cool for Mega Scizor this match. And if he doesn't bring the Tentacruel, this also is a phenomenal win con in the late game. So yeah, that's also something to keep in mind. Next up, I needed a check. My team needed another check to Landorus T. My team does not have the best ground immunities. My only one after I dropped Aerodactyl and Tornadus is Volibee. And Scarf Landorus versus a team with no ground resist is just, despite all the bulk I have on my team, it's not something I want to do. Especially not with him having access to rocks and T-Spikes, which also T-Spikes are quite a nuisance to this team. So yeah, my perfect answer to all of these factors was Volibee. Volibee is just really good in this game. It walls the Landorus T, Stone Edge doesn't 2-hit KO me, and Foul Play does a lot. Mega Kangaskhan, I can 1v1 that depending on his spread, but Foul Play does a lot and he should not be able to 2-hit KO me. U-turn again provides me with fantastic momentum to bring in Mega T-Tar, because the Foul Play switch-ins will usually be something like the Whimsicott or the Crobat, which quite frankly all allow in Tyranitar and just allow it to fire off a free Stone Edge. So yeah, you kind of see where I'm going with this game. Last move is Defog to prevent the Tentacruel from being too big of an issue with his Toxic Spikes. So that's really, really good, and something that is just that should make me want to bring Volibee. So we're bringing Volibee to quarterfinals, and I'm really hoping it does work. Yeah. And next up, we have my Suicune. I bringing in a Rocky Helmet Suicune this week. I really wanted leftovers. I couldn't run leftovers because I needed the Rocky Helmet, and that's kind of unfortunate, but kind of not, because with Rocky Helmet, what Suicune does for me, it just becomes the necessary instrument to beating down Mega Kangaskhan. Even I'm not Thunder from Mega Kangaskhan, even if he's specially invested, doesn't do enough to me. Workout, I'm not, quite frankly, not that worried about because he needs the coverage for my team. And yes, Suicune just gives me this passive check to Mega Kangaskhan by just whittling down with Helmet, being able to rest and sleep talk. And actually, if I will get rid of the Whimsicott and he does not have the Tentacruel, this thing is also just a phenomenal win con, because as worried as I was about Coal Mining Crest in the prep, because that's just a set you have to keep in mind and you don't want to lose to, I think I can easily beat him. Sorry for the cursor, by the way. I can easily beat Coal Mine Crest, and if he isn't Coal Mine Crest and just regular Club Crest, this Suicune also just beats down his team. So yeah, that's really good for me. So yeah, and last but not least, I'm bringing Volcarona, and it's not a Quiver Dance Volcarona, it's a really bulky Volcarona with Fiery Dance, Bug Buzz, Will-O-Wisp, and Roost. Again, it outspeeds a tremendous amount of his team, barring the Crobat and the Whimsicott, which I can deal with pretty well, apart from with the rest of my team, or even with this Volcarona in this case, because the Whimsicott does not do anything to my Volcarona, and if he Anchors me, I'm probably anchored into Fiery Dance or Bug Buzz and do a lot. And the Crobat is just, again, with my Mew being the way it is, and all the potential I have here, also with my T-Tar and my Bandit T-Tar just beating down this Crobat, my two Will-O-Wisp users here that might hard switch in, yeah, they really won't be doing much to me, and if I weaken down his faster mons, this can also just clean up, because I killed Landorus after a bit of chip. I can kill the Kangaskhan after a bit of chip. I can burn it. I can burn both of these as well, so they don't do that much to me. I can always 3-hit KO Cresselia and beat it with Roost and Lefty's Recovery. I'm a hard counter to Scizor pretty much. If he Scarf Scizor and he after Rock's Knockout has a chance to knock me out. However, I think with Defog Volibee versus his team with its only rockers being Dradagon and Landorus, I have a pretty reliable Defogger, so I thought I could afford to bring a more bulky Volcarona here this game, because it does have this good defensive matchup here. So yeah, that's the team. And now I'm going to cut again, because this time I needed to, and go right over to the battle portion of the video. Alright, and we're here with the battle portion. Now, he brought pretty much what I expected. He brought the Landorus, the Mega Kangaskhan, the Scizor. I thought those were given. Those were like the most instrumental Pokemon he had in breaking down my team. The Crobat, which is with Taunt, just decent versus my bulkier team. Brought the Dradagon, which was something I considered, but I didn't really expect. Now that it's here, I fully expect this to be a mixed defensive set with Rock Slide and Fire Punch to take on the Mega Scizor and the Volcarona a bit better. And last but not least, he brought the Whimsicott, which I found interesting. I had a feeling like Tentacruel would come, because I thought it was really annoying to my team with these spikes of just being able to always come in on Suicune, always annoy Scizor, and also being, quite frankly, a decent check to Volcarona with haste. But yeah, he opted not to bring in, which, sorry for the dimensions, I'm not really sorry about, if I'm completely honest. But yeah, So yeah, here looking at team preview, I think that Mew is just my best lead, because Mew does several things here. If he leads with Landorus, I can just freely fire off a Will-O-Wisp. He does not have a Will-O-Wisp immunity on his team, since he did not bring the Houndoom. And the only way Landorus outspeed me would be if it's Scarfed, and a Scarfed Landorus doesn't do enough damage to my Mew. Same goes for the Mega Kang, getting off the Will-O-Wisp, or even if I predict him to be max speed, I can just go out into my Rocky Helmet Suicune and go for a free Scald, honestly, and again fish for a burn, because his team is so weak to burns, and he does not have a Cleric on his team. So yeah, Scizor, again, only way out that speeds me, it's Scarf, and I do, even if he leads Scizor, I do have my Rocky Helmet Suicune and my Flame Body Volcarona, which he might can severely punish him for clicking U-turn, which would be the only move he could click in front of a Mew apart from Toxic. So I probably could just go into my Suicune and again try and get a burn, because that's kind of the theme with his team. He's so weak to burn and status overall. If he leads Crobat, that's just a free Psyshock or a free U-turn depending on what I decide to do, or also a free Will-O-Wisp, but probably Psyshock or U-turn because I can expect the taunt here. I might just double out as well, predicting the Toxic, and I don't want to get Mew Toxic, but even then I have the Patchaberry so, and the Tentacruel isn't here, so yeah, Mew is just my best lead overall. Okay, sorry, I wanted to start the battle and stop the recording. So yeah, Mew is just my best lead, and I'm just going to lead off with that here, as he leads with his Landorus team. And again, as I pointed out before, this is just my chance to get off a free Will-O-Wisp on his team. It reveals to be Crobat to be his initial switch into Mew, which I find quite interesting. But yeah, I get the burn here, and now I don't see a reason for me not to just go out into my... Oh, just to click Psyshock here, because again, I have the Patchaberry. Yeah, click Psyshock on the Scizor, and now I go into my Scizor to scout out what this one wants to do, and this reveals to me that he's a Jolly set without a boosting. I know that's interesting as well, so he might be Scarf. I need to keep that in mind. As he goes into Landorus T, and I can go into my Volibee. I'm going to make this a bit slow, yeah. Volibee is pretty no drawback here, because as you can see now, Stone Edge does not 2KO me, and I can, even if he subs or SDs here, I can just click Foul Play on the next turn, and I know he won't click Stone Edge again here, so I just roost off the damage to keep my Volibee at a good amount of health to be able to check the Landorus. So he brings in the Druddigon, and as I said, that's a good or decent check at least to T-Tar. It takes a hit from Scizor, it takes a hit from Volcarona, so you definitely want to get damage off on this thing. And I predict him to go for a rock, so I can 1v1 him clicking Foul Play here as he reveals the Dragon Tail too. So he starts Dragon Tailing around my team and gets me into my Mega Scizor. This means for me that I can do several things here. I can just U-turn, but that would mean that I take a lot of damage on this Scizor from Rocky Helmet and Rough Skin, which is not something I really want to do. I also can just go, if I predict the Fire Punch, I can go into my Suicune. But Suicune, I want to keep that as healthy as possible to potentially still check over for the Mega Kangaskhan, because at this point in the match it's still a big threat. And if I go, he might just go for Stealth Rock here as well, which is why I don't, with my Volcarona and him having the potential to phase me with this Druddigon and potentially having Rock Slide, that's just not something I want to do. So I think my best play is just going out to Volibee again, even if he Dragon Tails again, which I don't expect again, as he gets up to Stealth Rocks. And yeah, this is just a defog opportunity to defog again for me. I don't lose anything, I keep rocks off the field, and now I have the chance to get into a Mon that's good for me again, finally, as I get into the Volcarona. And I calc here with my spread, even a Rock Slide does not, because he's Rough Skin, he's not Sheer Force. If I burn him, a Rock Slide is not going to knock me out. So yeah, I just decide to do that and risk it here, get off the Will-O-Wisp, and now Dragon Tail as he goes for the rocks, which was a good play on his part because he knew I couldn't Oko him anymore. But at this point, I can pretty free to just fire off a Bug Buzz, because it will 2KO the Druddigon, and with rocks and all that, I don't know if he even has the Rock Slide. So yeah, so he goes into his Crobat, and that goes into, and I can just go into my Mew, as he makes the good play of taunting the Volcarona, because I do think he realizes how big of a threat it was. Might have clicked Brave Bit there, but it's honestly whatever, because in this situation I'm now able to just click U-turn with my Mew and do what I talked about in the team goal. I will be able to safely bring in my choice Bennett Tyranitar, and yeah, he goes down after burn damage to about 50%, and I will be able to just click Stone Edge, even if he's Chardy Berry variant. This T-Tar is getting its kill right now. The potential switch-ins are weakened. Landorus is weakened. Druddigon is weakened. Landorus was offensive too. Scizor might take one hit. I'm not sure. It's at 83%. Kangaskhan takes a million. So yeah, this T-Tar is just about to go in right here. And he even clicks taunt. He doesn't even decide to U-turn out. So yeah, that's goodbye. I definitely understand the taunt play. A bulky T-Tar did make some sense for the Mega Kang potentially, or even he couldn't really risk me Dragon Dancing up here either, because if I Dragon Dance on this Crobat, I'm just in such a good position. So yeah, I do understand the taunt play, but yeah, I just get my kill. Now he makes a bit of a misplay in my opinion. He goes into Whimsicott. Whimsicott does not knock me out. Quite frankly, it doesn't even necessarily 2KO me, depending on his spread, and Bandit Stone Edge in return does kill him. He doesn't know I'm Bandit at this point, or I think, because like Rock Plate or whatever could still do it, but Bandit does kill him here. And yeah, so in my opinion, his play should have been to go into Landorus T, because Earthquake should have did knock me out from this point. and he could have pressured my Volibee with this, but I can just, as you can see, he crits Moonblast me with the 63. It does not matter. I hit the next Stone Edge and I get rid of the Whimsicott. So yeah, and now with the Taunt Toxic Crobat and the Encore Whimsicott right out of the way, my Calm Mind Suicune is just looking like a fantastic win condition in the late game. So yeah, that's something to definitely keep in mind. But it's also my main check to the Mega Kang, which comes out now, and as you combat, the thing you do against the Mega Kangaskhan is to go into Suicune, as he clicks Earthquake, which is a good play, not going for the superpower, because Earthquake doesn't rack up Rocky Helmet damage, so that's definitely good. And yeah, right here I can just just click Scald, because as I said in the beginning, or as I said already, my Suicune is a good win con, but I always recover up on the Druddigon. And I also need to get this in range of my Scizor to be able to guarantee revenge it. Also get this in range of Mew, get this in range of Volcarona. It's just whittling down his team enough is my goal at the moment. And Suicune is just, with its Rocky Helmet and Scald, it's just perfect to do that. Plus, if I get the burn out on his Kangaskhan, it's basically not an issue for my team at all anymore. I do not get the burn, but here I calc quite extensively. What the hell? Sorry. I calc quite extensively here, and I know that my Suicune is guaranteed able to still lift rocks on 2 HP from the number I'm at. So I decide to preserve my Suicune, because if he ever Dragon Tails it in versus his Druddigon, I can safely click rest on that. And also, it's just nice to have an additional sack fodder at this point in the game. So yeah. Plus, T-Tar has done its job for me. I can chip down his thing further by with Sandstorm. T-Tar did its job in the way that now his 3 of his remaining Pokemon, I suspect, will be able to outspeed me, because this is quite a bulky, not the fast T-Tar. And most of them will also be able to kill me. So yeah, I just sack off my T-Tar. I don't think it would have done any more this game. And now this allows me to bring in my... Don't want to spoil it quite yet. It allows me to bring in my Scizor and just revenge this this Kangaskhan with a Bullet Punch. Even if he goes into Rocky Helmet Druddigon again, I just need to wear down his team enough to where Volcarona or Mew can just clean up the game, because he now does not have a chance of outspeeding them anymore. And yeah, here I go into Mew, and this play is quite big, so let me explain that a bit. I debated a lot right here what I wanted to do with my Scizor. Oh, that's a bit too early. What I wanted to do here with my Scizor after this turn plays out, because now he is in the position where he can just Dragon Tail me. And the other thing I have to keep in mind is that he potentially still runs Flamethrower. Fire Punch with his burn wouldn't do that much, but Flamethrower. So keeping that in mind, I do think that preserving Scizor here is the play, because if I just knock him out, even if he doesn't go for Dragon Punch, or I just Dragon Tail, or I just Roost, he might also now double into Landorus T, and because he revealed the substitute on Landorus T, I do know that he probably is able to sub up on my Mega Scizor right here. That if Landorus T gets behind the sub, with how weakened my team is, I'm in a worse position than in a position I don't want to be in, because he might potentially SD, or he just can get 1 or 2 kills versus my team. So that's in my mind something I can't let happen. That being said, I also don't. The only thing that really benefits from, or I can safely switch in here on the Dragon Tail, or Flamethrower, is my Mew, because that gives me a really good tank, even if he clicks Dragon Tail. If he Dragon Tails me into my Scizor, I then can just proceed to make the same play again, or even Roost up or click U-turn on my own to get that momentum and also get my Scizor back to a good amount of health. If he Dragon Tails in Suicune, that just dies to Rocks plus Sand, and I get a free switch into my Mew and can just Roost up and again get my team out of health, out of range of his attacks. If he whirls me into Volcarona, which I assume might be his plan, because he has his Scizor in the back and this White Maribel V Scarf, so he needs to weaken down my team a bit more. I can just, because this Druddigon is burned, my Volcarona can just Roost on this Druddigon and stall it out and click Roost once, get back to good health, and then Bug Buzz it. So yeah, and last but not least, obviously Volibee, which would be the ideal scenario for me, because that would mean that I could get rid of Rocks, at which point my Volcarona is basically just going to win, because there's no way he's going to knock out Volcarona with his Scarf Scizor. So yeah, this was quite big. Let's see what he Dragon Tails me out into. He does not double to Landorus T, so yeah, that's why I made the Mew play, but he clicks Dragon Tail again. And as you already saw, I go into Mew, and he clicks, and he gets me into Vullaby, which is, quite frankly, the best Pokemon he could ever Dragon Tail me out into. Because now this allows me to just click Defog and get rid of the rocks, because now the next turn won't matter. He makes a good play getting up Stealth Rocks again, but won't get him anywhere, because now I can just roost up on him, and because he will go down the next turn to the sand, and I get him on this prediction as well, because he clicks rocks and not Dragon Tail. So yeah, my Vullaby is back at a point of health where nothing on his team can take me out. That's also kind of the reason I made this play. So yeah, the Druddigon drops, and now I'm able in a position, because as I said, Landorus doesn't knock me out, Kangaskhan doesn't knock me out, even with Double Edge. I calc that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just click Roost again, because I know that the only move he has to potentially hit me will knock him out himself, and I will end up in the same position as before, being at a high enough amount of health to tank any hit, even from this Landorus T. And what I do now is I defog the rocks, because with Kang gone, that's the only thing that potentially could have done anything to my Volcarona. Alright guys, sorry again, I had to cut the video again because someone entered the room. You might or might have not heard the knocks, so yeah. Sorry about this messed up recording, but anyway, let's hop into the last few turns of the battle. I think I can spoil that at this point, because my opponent, Styx, only has 2 mons left, so yeah. I choose to defog on the Landorus. I roosted up and got my Vullaby back to the amount of health I needed it to tank a Stone Edge from Landorus, pretty much guaranteed. Which at this point allows me to defog away the rocks, because what that means is that my Volcarona is just 100% counter to his Scizor, even if he clicks knockoff. Plus, I can just bring in my Mew after he kills this Vullaby, and get a free Will-O-Wisp off either on the Landorus or the Scizor. And even if he's subbed here, which would be like his other play, I could have just foul played the next turn, because again I take the Stone Edge. So yeah, I feel like defog was definitely my best play here. And I'm going to sack off my Vullaby now to the following Stone Edge, clicking Falter. You know, you never know, it's Stone Edge, right? So yeah, I might have knocked out the Landorus there. But yeah, now I get into my Mew, and I can just Will-O-Wisp here as he goes into Scizor, because with, which I definitely understand, because with rocks gone, this Scizor basically has no chance anymore of sweeping through my team. It would have been a very, very limited chance, because he would have to get a couple of 50-50 predictions right, because he was in fact the Scarf Scizor I predicted it to be in the game. So yeah, I can just roost up now, and there's no way he's beating this Mew anymore. So yeah, he just fires off the Continental Crush, or the Tectonic Range, sorry, the Tectonic Range right here on the Mew does not knock me out. I can just spam Roost. He will click the SD right here, which is definitely his best play. Again, I'm capitalizing on my Mew's Roost. Again, I could just Psyshock it now, get off a good amount of damage. As you can see, my 56 special attack investment allowed me to always break a sub from a Landorus, so that's also nice, but I outspeed it anyway, get off the Will-O-Wisp beforehand. So yeah, now we knock out the Landorus, and right here, there's no reason to really keep this Mew. I think I just sack it off. No, I don't. I switch. Why ever I switch, I do not know. Well, anyway, it does not really matter, because he never can beat my Volcarona. Could have just sacked me there, made the bit safer play, but yeah, right here, I just click Fiery Dance and kill the Scizor, and that's good game to Styx. Yeah, so yeah, we're on to the semifinals, and really good game. I know that Styx wasn't happy about the Dragon Tail rolls he got with Druddigon, but I think I explained quite well that why I don't think they mattered as much as he did. So yeah, good game to Styx. He had an amazing run. I really like this dude. He's going to write his medicine finals soon, so best of luck to you, Styx, if you're not already done. I don't know by the time this video goes up. Yeah, good game. My name is Johnny. We're moving on to the semifinals, and I'm out. Cheers.